Good morning, guys, and welcome back to Studio 306 as we take you into another episode of 306 Live. I, of course, am your host, Mr. Slagsville, and I hope you guys had a good night. You're ready to start today. All right, so it is Tuesday, 8:40 in the morning. Time for the triangle, right? Today, celebrating the birthday, Johann Sebastian Bach, 1700s composer. I got a little clip down below for you guys to check out some of the classical music. I guarantee you it's something you've heard before, okay? Also, having a birthday today, sharing it with another famous composer, Angus Young of AC/DC, and there's a clip down below of that as well. Angus Young, famous for wearing a suit and tie on tops with shorts on the bottom, and his world-famous duck walk guitar solo. It has to be seen to be believed, and yes, we've all done it a few times, all right? So, today in history, you can tell I thought maybe you guys needed a dose of Slag's art class, so here it is, my best artist rendition of Le Tower Eiffel, or the Eiffel Tower, of course. Opened today in 1889 at just over 300 meters. That's around 1,000 feet for all of us here, not on the metric system. It was the tallest man-made structure in the world for 41 years. Sacre bleu, okay, until it was overtaken. As we know, the tallest building in the world today is in the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, and I'm sure Mr. Unique Brown can tell us what the name of that building is. That's right, it's the Burj Khalifa, okay? So, jumping right into the triangle, hope you guys had a good time reading the story yesterday, The Buried Treasure. When we watched the video conclusion, I had never seen it before, so I got an honest reaction. I actually really did enjoy it. We are going to discuss that tomorrow, okay? So if you want to, before you pop up tomorrow's episode, you can go in and watch that ending video. Again, the video password for the end of that chapter is hook, okay? Just like Dustin Hoffman. So if you take a look at that, we'll talk about it tomorrow morning, right? The ending, the twist, as it is. Today, we're going to talk about something that is developing, right? Maybe in your own household, in your own city, definitely in our school districts, right? In the state, in the country, in the world at large, and that is tension, okay? Tension, for the way we're going to discuss it, as a literary device. Tension, basically, showing conflict, showing stress or strain on a character or situation, all right? So we have a little introductory activity here. You're going to take your handy dandy sheet of paper. You can use line paper. It really doesn't matter. You're going to make a 6-box. So cut it in half, bisect it, chop it like this, right? Okay, you're going to make a 6-box. And there's going to be 1 box for each of the senses, all right? So you're going to go ahead and label each one: sight, smell, hearing, taste, touch, okay? And the 6th sense, well, that's Bruce Willis, all right? So leave that one blank, and you're gonna go ahead and get ready for our activity here. This is what it should look like when you're completed: sight, smell, hearing, taste, touch, the 5 senses of tension, all right? As we discuss tension, keep in mind things that make you nervous or things that place stress on you might not affect other people the same way, okay? For example, there is a small mammal who has leathery wings, horrible red eyes, pointed ears, fangs. He flaps around and squeaks. Certain people are not bothered by that, okay? Others of us may suffer from slight trace amounts of chiroptophobia, and so we don't like talking about bats, all right? Much less being near them or having them swoop at our faces, okay? Other people, cool as a cucumber, doesn't bother them. So if the person with chiroptophobia were to walk into a cavern, lightly illuminated, with the stalactites and the stalagmites, right? Obviously the stalactites hanging from the top, the stalagmites, they might hang from the top, but they don't, okay? So they're on the ground, and that little leathery shape comes flapping through. Some people turn and run, maybe screaming, maybe carrying things over their heads. I don't know. It's not like there's any photographic evidence of that, okay? Other people may be able to stand, may be able to proceed. They'll say, what, it's just a bat. Come on, guys, right? That's what I would say, okay? So what bothers one person may not bother another. What one person has a fear, a phobia of may not bother another. A stressful situation, right, might not impact someone. It might impact them with different degrees of stress, right? Make a stress level kind of like one of these, right? Okay, where over here is not stressed at all. Over here is moderately stressed, getting much more stressed, and over here it's like I've had it up to here, right? So I'm ready to blow from all this stress. So keep that in mind when we're talking about the different stresses, the different ways that tension can affect you, all right? Maybe keep a little track of it. Maybe draw a little graph right on here near each one of your 5 boxes and say how much that would affect you or how much you think that would be stressful for the character, right? Now, obviously, we're talking about a fictional character who has chiroptophobia, aka the fear of bats, right? A fictional character, okay? So for that individual, maybe this would be all the way up for bats, okay? Whereas for a brave, strong person like myself, it would be the other way, all right? So go ahead, sight, smell, hearing, taste, touch. We're gonna do sight first. So some things that you could see with your eyes, none of the other senses, okay? And we're gonna use this gauge first, okay? So if we went the other way, something that could build tension. So if I'm driving down the street, okay, and my gas tank is all the way here, full, not a concern, right? Got the radio on, you got the air conditioning blasting, right? Beautiful day. Now change the scenery a little bit. Now it's nighttime. We've got about a quarter of a tank, all right about here, okay? Still not a problem, but we're starting to Google, hey Siri, where's the nearest gas station, right? And you just pull up your Google and you see that the gas stations are closed. Maybe they close at 11 o'clock. Now it's 11:15. Oh man, I should have gotten gas before we left. Now here we are in this situation, okay? Now as that dial turns from a quarter to an eighth, goes down here, pointing to E, right? You're gonna start to feel that tension. And different people feel it different ways. Maybe you start to feel like that cold feeling in the pit of your stomach, right? You feel a little tense in your neck. You start, man, is it my mouth dry in here? Like what's going on, right? Have your handy dandy mug here. Maybe you start to sweat a little bit. You start to get nervous. Oh my God, I'm gonna run out of gas. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm looking for a gas station, right? Maybe you turn the air conditioning off like I do because you're like, oh, I gotta save all my gas. So you turn the radio off, it uses gas. That's not even true, okay? But you're driving, you're looking like this. Now you're driving looking like this for the gas station. Oh, Google said there's a gas station up here. I hope it's open. Oh my God, I hope it's open. I hope it's open. You see the gas station, you see the lights on, and you're like, and with any luck, when the car starts to sputter and kick and wheeze, you're coasting into the gas station. You get your gas, right? That gauge goes all the way back up to full, and so does your confidence, right? Whereas when that lever was all the way down here on E, you were sweating, you felt sick, you were nervous, right? You felt bad. And then as soon as the gas gauge went back to full, hey, not what? Guys, there was never any problem. We weren't going to run out of gas. Come on. You got to trust me. I know how to read a map, right? So your confidence shoots right back up because the tension has been alleviated, right? The tension has been dissipated, disappeared. Don't have to worry about it, okay? So that's something we can see with our eyes that will cause tension, that gas gauge dropping lower as you don't know where you are, okay? Another example we could use, maybe you're a paper boy, you're out delivering your papers, right? Dog jumps out in front of you. All right, he's not growling, he's not barking, but he's got all the hair on his back stand up. His hackles are raised, right? He's kind of curling his lip up, right? I'm doing the Elvis at you, okay? Not growling, not barking, not biting, but it doesn't look good. He looks like he's upset, like he's angry, like he might attack, right? Just the sight, not the sounds of that dog with his hair up, with his lip coming up like that, okay? That lets you know this is not good. You feel tension. Now you come around the corner and you say, oh, hey buddy, I know this dog, he's my friend. He puts his hair down, his ears droop down, he starts wagging his tail like crazy, boom, tension alleviated, right? Oh, that's a friendly dog. That dog doesn't bite people, right? So let's take a minute, put an example there. You can either use one of mine and elaborate on a little bit, or you can use one of your own, something that you see with your eyes. You don't hear, you don't smell, you don't taste, you don't touch, right? That does have some tension in your life, something you can see. Maybe for some people, big crowds, right? Dogs for others. Maybe some big tough guys I know, they see a little puppy, all of a sudden they start to get a little squirrely, right? So as we do this, you can pause it and fill yours in, or you can wait till the end and fill yours in at the end, okay? So we'll go to smell, right? And the one I'm gonna use to explain smell is the campfire, right? Roasted marshmallows, sitting around outside, you got a cooler full of beverages, water and soft drinks only, of course, you're roasting weenies, having a great time, right? That smell of the campfire, it gives good memories, good things are happening, right? Everybody's good, we're all happy, okay? Now imagine you're on an airplane and you start to smell that same smoky, woody smell. Not comforting, not good times, right? The last thing you want to deal with on an airplane is a fire, okay? So imagine how you would feel. You're sitting there, you know, you got your little cup of juice, you got your little tiny bag of peanuts that has 3 peanuts in it. You tried to open it, one went flying out, now you've got 2 peanuts, right? You're looking at your neighbor, he managed to bring himself a snack, and you're thinking about whatever you're thinking about. But then you start to, you look around and everyone's doing the same thing, they're smelling. Fire on a plane? Is one of the engines out? What's got that? Oh, your mind is immediately racing 100 different directions at once, 100 miles an hour. Oh my God, the plane's gonna burn down. We're gonna crash in the ocean, right? Like your brain starts shooting all these different ways, right? Terrible thing to smell. Okay, so that would obviously build tension on your otherwise happy trip on the plane. How about things that we hear, right? Auditory things, auditory stimulus, right? Things that we hear. So in the classroom, it can be kind of a noisy environment. There's people coming in, there's people going out, maybe sometimes commotion's going on in the hallway, right? We don't have any experience with these things, okay? There's certain sounds we're accustomed to hearing, like the bells, and we have the beautiful tone instead of that ring, 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 that like the old school classrooms have. Sometimes we're accustomed to the overhead speaker coming on and an announcement coming through the school, right? And sometimes if you're sitting right under that speaker, you know, I don't like to walk there, put the X there for a reason, right? Because it can make you jump a little bit. You weren't expecting it. But it's a sound that we're used to hearing. So now, what about the air raid siren, right? Everyone starts going like this. What's that? What does that mean? What does that sound mean? Okay? Or, for a different example, okay? When I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to raise my voice. I wasn't allowed to yell back, all right? And so the way I was trained to not yell back was that my father, when he would get angry, he would get very, very quiet, like this. And he would talk so low. And you could tell there was so much tension in that low voice, right? He wasn't yelling, didn't have to, right? Because he got real quiet. And he would always say, I get real quiet so I know you're listening, kind of thing, right? And it brings it way down. But it's not like a whisper like someone says to you, oh. There's no problem with that. That doesn't convey the tension. But you hear the voice gets pinched down, the voice gets strained like this. And it's like, you will listen to me right now, right? It sounds sharp. It sounds gravelly and tough. And so that sound brings tension in. All right, taste, okay? This great opening from the Temple of Doom. And we're going to take a look at the other Indiana Jones movie for today. It's going to be our tension-building exercise from Raiders of the Lost Ark. But there's a great scene in Temple of Doom where Indiana Jones sits down, he has the gem, he sends the gem across, his enemy gives him a glass of champagne, he says, now we'll toast, you did a job well done, and now we're friends, right? So he cheers, he takes the sip of the champagne, immediately, something's not right? It's grainy, it's bitter. You're expecting one taste, you got another, okay? Immediately, you look at the guy, did this guy put something in my drink? What's going on here? Oh, am I starting to feel woozy? Is that me? Is it my imagination? But the taste is what set it off, right? And of course, we know that he was, in fact, poisoned, does get the antidote. It's a thrilling scene. Something else maybe taste, and this is a pet peeve of mine. Someone will open the refrigerator, they take a look, right? You do that look into the refrigerator, you open it up and you're like, right? What do they take out? The milk carton, right? They sniff it, like this. And someone will say, I think this milk is bad. Is this milk bad? Here, taste this milk. Now, if you've ever tasted milk, when someone says, I think this milk is bad, it tastes bad, right? That's your brain saying, yeah, it's probably bad. It's probably bad. I don't want to taste this, right? So when you sip that milk, something's not quite right with it, right? And then your brain kicks right in. Oh, it's probably sour. We're probably drinking bad milk. We got to throw this out. It's going to spoil, right? Get it in the sink. Get it in the sink, right? but it's that little twinge of something wrong when you taste it. You weren't expecting that, right? And you don't like it, okay? So that builds tension immediately. That immediately sets your brain off. Touch, and this is a good one, right? So, although I may be afraid of bats, I'm certainly not afraid of heights. And when we did the zip lining challenge in Mexico, we showed you guys the GoPro of the other guy, not me, going over the zip line, 200 something feet in the air. And so getting on there, and they have you in this harness, and it's a leather harness, and it has these big rings and big metal carabiners, and the zip lines themselves are steel cables, right? And so I got up there for the first one. I was like, okay, this thing feels pretty good. The leather was all tight. It was holding me very snugly. It wasn't like loose, stretchy. The hooks and the carabiners, the metal parts, they were brand new, they were shiny, they felt good, they felt strong, they didn't wiggle at all, right? The cable is probably about that thick. It's a steel cable, braided steel cable. It was well oiled, it was a nice dark color, and it looked good, right? So that's the first thing I'm doing. I'm checking all my little bits out, right? I'm checking my pieces, I'm checking the nuts and washers, the nuts and bolts, the clips, the pins, because why? Because I don't want to die, I don't want to fall off this thing, right? So I'm holding all those pieces and I'm rubbing them, and the hooks, they're not rusted, right? They're not loose or wiggly. The cable, it was strong cable. It wasn't frayed or didn't have little burrs or little broken pieces coming out of it, right? And so you can touch it and feel like, oh, this feels pretty good, right? This feels good. If you felt wiggly, you would have no confidence, and that would build tension. Now, if we're filming an action movie here, obviously it all looks good, it all feels good, and when we get on the zip line, when we start to go, everything's going until we get about halfway across, then you hear that ping, and you see one of your little hooks go flying, and one of your straps breaks, and now you're hanging on by one, and it's like, oh, is he gonna make it? Is he gonna make it, right? And it starts to fray, and it starts to come down, boom, cliffhanger. How does it end? I don't know, you decide, right? But brand new hooks, brand new cable, well-oiled machine, it doesn't build tension. But a little rusty hook, a cable that starts to fray or snap, that builds tension. That will set your mind running, right? So you can pause me here or do it at the end. Make sure you have at least one specific example in all of your 5 boxes that we're using, okay? We're gonna talk a little bit more about building tension, and this is the movie clip for today. It is, as I said earlier, it's Indiana Jones. It's near the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Okay, the clip is below in the links, and I'm just going to briefly narrate the scene for you, right? So Indiana Jones has found the hidden temple where they believe the Ark to be. They go into the desert. There's a huge stone slab. It takes the whole crew of guys. They roll it aside. He looks in. It's a dark black pit. He's I don't know. They take a torch, they hold it over the edge, they drop it in, right? It looks like there's a black carpet, black vines on the ground. And when he drops it in, the torch hits the ground way below, it looks like 50, 60 feet. And the vines and the carpet, of course, they're all snakes, and they start hissing and moving out of the way, and they make a big circle around the fire because they're afraid of it, right? And then so the great John Rhys Davies has the line where he says to him, asps, very dangerous. You go first, right? So Indiana Jones, he rolls to the side. He's like, oh my God, snakes. Why'd it have to be snakes? So you find out he is afraid of snakes. And then he gets over the edge, and they start to lower him down with this rope. And they don't have a pulley and block and tackle set up, right? Nothing. So it's just a bunch of guys holding the rope, letting him down like this, right? And it's, he's weaving down, he's hanging in the rope like this, he's looking around. It's this huge snake temple. It has these big mouths of the snakes on the 4 corners. He's getting lowered into his worst fear, right? Huge pit of snakes. You can hear Sala up top yelling, careful, be careful with him, don't drop him, right? He's thinking, won't drop him, of course don't drop me, why would you say that, right? So now they're letting him, the thunder and lightning is going outside. A big bolt of lightning comes. It scares the guy holding the rope. They drop the rope. He comes plummeting down, slams into the sand, gets up like this, and of course, boom, there's the snake right in front of his face like that, right? That is about as much tension as the human heart can handle. Anything more than that, he might have passed out, right? So now it's set the stage perfectly, and everyone was on the edge of their seat like this, and when he gets dropped, everyone's like, oh my God, what's happening? The snake pops up, okay? And then we can proceed with the scene. So watch that clip, right? Again, you can pause it here, or not, come back to it later, okay? But that's a great example of using every one of the 5 senses that we just talked about, okay, to establish tension, to build tension, to bring it to a boiling point when something's got to happen, and it's what does this snake do, okay? So think about that, and we're going to go into some more literary expressions of tension, some more examples of tension. Over here, I have on the board, the very small whiteboard, I have 4 aspects we're going to take a look at today. Conflict, anticipation, uncertainty or vulnerability, and loss of control. Okay? So these are 4 things, 4 literary devices. Now, when we're talking about our experiences with all these 5 senses, okay, or when we're watching a movie, or someone's acting it in front of us, we have all these different things. You want to introduce some tension to this lesson right here? Drop a snake on the table, okay? You see some stuff, all right? You will see some stuff, okay? But if I'm writing about it, how do I convey that this snake has been dropped on the table? How's the snake acting? I don't know. We can't see it. We have to read about it, right? How does the subject, in this case, Mr. Slagsville, react to a snake suddenly appearing on the middle of his table? I don't know. We can't see him. Does he jump up and scream like a little girl and run across the room? I don't know. Does he callously flick it aside like some kind of He-Man? I don't know, right? We can't see him. You have to read about it, okay? And so one of the greatest challenges or struggles that a writer has to get is how does he convey the mood, the tension to you, the reader? Because let's face it, a lot of books are boring. They're not keeping your attention. Okay, and introducing tension is a great way to keep people reading. It's a great way to keep people interested. If you're interested, you're listening to a story, this is a pretty good story. It's exciting. It's what people will usually say, right? This is an exciting story. Or they'll say, I want to know what happens next. And that means the author's doing his job, okay? And one of the best ways for the author to keep you reading, to do what's called a page turner, is to introduce tension so that you start to feel a little stressed out. Maybe you've been watching a scary movie, right? And you start to get a little tensed up. Now, you're not in any danger. You're sitting on your couch. You got your popcorn, right? But if you're watching a movie, you'll say, oh, that director, the one who directed the movie, he's doing a good job of introducing that tension, that feeling of something is not quite right here. Your shoulders start to tuck in. Maybe you're holding that popcorn a little tighter, right? And then when the scare happens, whoa, the popcorn goes flying a little bit. Maybe it doesn't. That's your business, right? But they would say the director's doing a good job. This is a good movie. This is scary. And you're looking around, I wasn't that scared. This is a good movie, right? Let's see what happens next. The same thing that an author is doing when he's writing. And so there's my man, Pat Carmen here, does a very good job, I think, of introducing tension. Now, it doesn't work if it's all the time, okay? It can't just be tense, and then tenser, and then even more tense, and then the tensest it's ever been. There's nowhere to go from there. So you got to go. It's like a roller coaster, right? You got to go up a little bit, come down a little bit. Go up a little bit higher, come down a little bit, right? And so then when you go all the way up to the final hill of the roller coaster, right, that's the climax of your story. That's the most exciting part. And then go to the falling action, start to coast a little bit. People can start to breathe a little bit, start to catch up, let your feelings adjust, right? It's not a good time if you go to see a movie and it's just more tense and more tense and more tense and more tense, and it doesn't ever let you relax. There's no release. It doesn't end on a good note, right? You'll walk out of there being like, hey, I don't know about that movie. I don't feel too good. A little jumpy, right? There has to be a release. That way you feel relieved. You can see it play out in front of you, right? It's all going to be very natural. Too much tension, not fun, or it gets boring. Not enough tension, you might not be interested. What's going on here? What are we just reading a story where everything goes perfectly? Boring, not into it. So tension is very good, very important for authors to keep you hooked in, right? Maybe if there were some kind of snake slithering in from out of screen, coming over here and crawling up on the table, and I didn't know, that would be a way of building tension for you, but not me. And you'd be like, oh, I got to keep watching this video. I got to see if this guy gets bit by the snake, if he freaks out, right? Sorry to disappoint. Okay, but we'll take a look at the first is conflict, right? Conflict is easy. We understand conflict very well. Okay, that's this stuff. All right. Conflict can be if there's a history of a conflict. Like maybe I'm walking in the street and I see a guy that I've had a problem with many times before. okay? I'll immediately think, oh, here we go again, right? You start getting that fight or flight. You're like, oh man, is this guy gonna come up to me? Am I gonna have trouble with this guy, right? Because I have a history of trouble with this guy, okay? There could be race or class differences that put you in conflict with somebody, like cats and dogs, right? You see a dog sitting on the porch, not causing any trouble. All of a sudden, a cat runs by, and bam, there he goes, right? The conflict is introduced because they're a different race or different class, all right? Good example, teachers and students, right? There's been many times when a bunch of students are sitting around, having a good time, laughing, joking. They're not doing anything wrong, right? Teacher walks in the room, hey, what's going on in here? All of a sudden, it gets real quiet, right? The students might be expecting a conflict with the teacher. Okay, oh, is this guy gonna get on my back again? Is this guy gonna tell me what to do, right? Or the conflict could be initiated by the teacher. Say, oh, these kids are always up to no good, right? So different race, different class can breed conflict. The third kind that we're gonna look at is an unexpected confrontation, right? And that's when you're just walking down the street, minding your own business, somebody jumps out, hey buddy, give me your wallet, right? Not expected, okay? Conflict out of nowhere, a surprise conflict. And that can be very tough to deal with because you might freeze. Well, what do I do? I don't know. Do I have any money? Do I have enough money? I don't know what's going on here, okay? But you weren't expecting it. It's not, you didn't see a guy you have trouble with. You're not a cat that sees a dog, right? You're just minding your own business and someone puts themselves in front of you and gives you a conflict, right? That one's usually more of a surprise or a gotcha. It's not good at building tension, okay? But think if how to build tension here. If you are that cat and you're walking around, you're walking down the street, looking around, not doing anything, and then up ahead, you see a dog sitting on a porch. Ears go up, back goes up. He doesn't see you, okay? Now you're worried. Is that dog on a leash? Is that dog on a chain? Is that dog gonna stay in his yard? Is that dog coming after me? Right? The tension starts to build. And now you have to decide, okay, I'm gonna be a brave cat. I'm gonna walk past that house anyway. And we're gonna trust that he is on a leash and that leash is gonna hold. Or you're gonna say, might have to go the long way today, back to the cat home, right? Back to the cat hotel, okay? Might have to go the long way. Might have to turn around and skip a block. That's up to you, the cat. The cat's tension is being built just by the presence of a dog up there because of the conflict, right? So we'll move to anticipation, okay? Anticipation means that you're waiting for something to happen that you think is going to happen or you know is going to happen, okay? So anticipation can best be described by, say you have a disagreement with somebody at school, right? And you say, oh yeah, well, your mom. Oh, my mom? Well, your mom, right? And so the guy says, you know what? I'll see you at 3 o'clock outside by the flagpole. And everyone goes, ooh, okay? Now you're like, oh yeah, whatever, man, 3 o'clock, I'll be there. I'll be there. Why? Because it's 9 o'clock in the morning, right? Who cares? No big deal. Now it's lunchtime. People are starting to talk, right? The anticipation is building for them because they want to see a fight. And for you, because you're not so sure you want to be in a fight, right? But now it's getting a little bit closer, okay? Maybe now it's seventh period, okay? It's right before 2 o'clock. You're starting to sweat a little bit, right? You're getting a little tingly. You're getting a little jumpy. Somebody comes up behind you. They're like, hey, buddy, how you doing? You're like, hey, don't hit me. What are you doing, right? Because you're starting to get nervous, okay? And as that clock ticks closer, closer, closer to 3 o'clock, you're starting to get more and more agitated, more anxious, right? So the anticipation of a fight happening at 3 o'clock, it didn't bother you so much at 9 a.m. It might not even have bothered you that much at lunchtime. But after lunchtime, 7th period, 8th period, right? Afternoon dismissal is coming. You're not feeling good, right? You got that anxious response. You got that pit in your stomach going on, because there is tension building from the inevitability of time moving forward. You can't hold the clock back, right? You can't get up there and like hold it here and say, I'm going to keep it at 2:58 so I don't have to face my problems, right? The inevitability of time moving forward puts the tension on you from anticipating 3 o'clock that's when your first one, the conflict, that's about to happen to you, right? One way or the other. So, number 3, the uncertainty or the vulnerability, right? And the best way to explain vulnerability is Super Mario Brothers, right? So playing Super Mario Brothers, I hit the block, but bing, out pops, of course, the Starman, right? And we know when we grab the Starman, we are invincible. We are invulnerable, right? Nothing can hurt us. Nothing can harm me. Nothing can stop me, right? I got the Starman, okay? Now, the opposite of having the Starman, of course, is to be, instead of invulnerable, to be vulnerable. Vulnerable means you are able to be hurt, you're able to be killed or injured, you're able to have your feelings hurt, right? You're able to be upset. So vulnerability, that's what happens when you run into the Goomba, right? When you don't jump quite on his head, you run into him and he hits you in the knee and you go, pew, 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 pew. You shrink down to regular Mario because you have that vulnerability, right? That apparently Italian plumbers who get hit in the knee by mushrooms, well, they shrink to half their size, okay? So the vulnerability means something could happen to you, right? And something could always happen to any of us, right? We all cross the street hundreds of times in our lives. We all have been in cars hundreds of times in our lives, right? You're most likely to die in a car. Cars are dangerous. A lot of people go into car accidents, but we all go in our cars, go about our business, right? We don't think about the vulnerability of being in a car, okay? So when we're walking across, we're the jungle explorer this time, and we see this big, huge cliff, and on the other side, right, the only way to get there is that rope bridge. And it's not, like I saw in Mexico, it's not a brand new shiny rope bridge with all brand new planks and brand new ropes, right? It's rickety, it's broken down, it's derelict, okay? It's got half of the planks are missing, some of them look rotten, the ropes are all strained and frayed, they're starting to come across a little bit. You do that thing where you like reach out 1 foot and you're like, I don't know about that one, feels good. Like walking across thin ice that's cracking as you walk on it, okay? So we're all standing there. Someone's got to go first, right? And it's that vulnerability of, I don't know if this bridge is going to hold. I've never gone across this bridge before. I don't see anybody else going across this bridge. I have to test it. I got to go first. I have uncertainty about this bridge's ability to hold me. I have a vulnerability that if I fall from this bridge because it breaks, I could die or be seriously injured, right? So that puts the tension up. And of course, as we all know in the movies, right? The bridge never breaks right when you first step on it, okay? It waits for you about halfway across, and that's when the rope starts spooling off and the rope starts shooting and the planks start breaking, and then the guy's like, what do I do? And of course you have to run, right? And the bridge snaps and it swings, but that's the building tension, okay? Now, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the uncertainty when that first step onto the bridge, okay? We're talking about the vulnerability of knowing that if that bridge breaks, you probably are going to die, right? That's vulnerable, okay? That means you're not safe. You're not invincible. This is really, really going to happen. If that bridge goes down, I'm going down with it, and that's the end, right? Roll the credits, okay? That builds tension, okay? Now, maybe you have a lot of time to decide if we want to go in, make a run over that bridge or not. Maybe you're getting chased through the woods by a gorilla and you don't have any time to decide. You just got to go, okay? That might make it even easier because you might have to react and act instead of think, okay? The bridge will probably not hold both you and the gorilla, right? So you better be quick. The fourth one we're going to talk about today is loss of control. And most people find this to be the most tense, the most stressful in their lives, okay? Now, generally in our lives, we don't run through the jungle being chased by angry gorillas. We generally don't have to test out cruddy old suspension bridges to see if they'll hold our weight, right? But there are often times when we do lose control of our actions or of ourselves, okay? And the best example for this is the roller coaster, right? So we go out to Six Flags. We're gonna have a good time, we hope, right? Get some hot dogs, get some soda, right? Having a great time, playing some games, winning some Cupid dolls. See the roller coaster. It kind of dominates the landscape, right? It's the tallest thing there. It's the biggest thing there. You hear it. It's going clack, 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 right? You see the people on there screaming. You're like, and the person you're with like, let's go on that. That looks good. And you're going like this. Ooh, doesn't look great. Doesn't look great, right? But your friend really wants to go, maybe your other friend wants to go, maybe you're trying to impress a girl, right? Or there's like somebody younger than you don't want to look weak in front of them, so you're like, oh yeah, I go on this all the time, right? And so then it's going to combine all these aspects, right? You hear the clack, 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 clack of the roller coaster, okay? You can see the people getting big eyes, right? You can see him screaming, ah, when they're going over the hill. You could see that roller coaster like shooting down so fast, okay? But as you're going up to it and the tension is building because your anticipation is building, right? The thing that starts to worry you is that when you actually do step up into the roller coaster, you sit down in the chair and they put that thing over your shoulders, right? Ka-chunk, like that. When they push that button and you start to roll, that's it. You are officially on the ride now, right? You're part of the ride. You can't decide, and you go over the first hill and the first plunge, that it's the scariest thing you've ever had in your whole life. You hate it and you want to get off right now, right? You can't. You're on it for the ride. You're on for the duration, okay? And that feeling, that loss of control, that I could be loving this right now and I can't get off, or I could be hating this right now and I can't get off, okay? That could be a very terrifying feeling to people. Even if they might have thought they were going to enjoy it, even if they are enjoying it. The fact that if I wanted to get off this ride right now, I can't, okay? That's the loss of control. And the way that this happens most often in movies, in books, people have one of their greatest fears is insanity, right? Can I trust my own brain? Or do they say, is your mind playing tricks on you, right? And that's why people will always say when they say something that sounds outlandish or outrageous is, I'm not crazy, right? Because they're doubting maybe they are crazy, okay? And the loss of your mental faculties, the loss of your own sanity is one of the ways that we could lose control, all right? And that's why an author would write it saying, the young boy sat up in his bed at night. He had been having a bad dream, but he thought he heard a loud bang coming from the hallway. Now, was that part of a dream or was that happening in real life? Okay? And it's that little bit of sanity question. Well, am I dreaming or is this real? Am I crazy? Am I sane? Right? And it starts to play tricks on you. Okay? That's the loss of control because you don't know whether you can trust your own brain. Now, that's a lot to deal with, right? And so we want to bring some resolution to that, okay? Maybe his younger brother was practicing skateboard tricks in the hallway at 2 o'clock in the morning and there was a loud bang, okay? And he woke up and he thought, oh, am I dreaming about monsters? What's going on here? And so we want to resolve that because that's not a good feeling to feel that way. Oh, I woke up out of nowhere, I heard a loud bang, I'm scared, my mind's running crazy, my mind's playing tricks on me. You don't want to leave the reader there, okay, for too long. This is not a good place to be. So then you hear his brother in the hallway, oof, oh, my arm, oh, my arm. He go out, he opens the doorway, he sees his brother on the ground with the skateboard down, and he says, you woke me up, right? That relieves some of the tension. Then you can take a breath as a reader and say like, okay, we're all right. We're okay here, all right? I don't need to be scared right now. Even if it's a very scary book or a very scary movie, we have to let the tension out a little while, right? You gotta let the audience breathe. You gotta get them maybe a little laugh, a little chuckle, right? Just a skateboard, right? You can't leave them too strung out on tension for too long. They stop feeling good, okay? They get disinterested. They don't care what happens next. So building tension, a great way to keep the reader interested, to keep the reader involved, right? But we gotta be careful not to stretch them out too tight for too long, right? Because it will snap, you'll lose them. Or we can't have it so boring that the wire, like this, we're holding the wire tension, right? Tight like this. If we hold it too loose, it starts to droop, right? And now it's not exciting either. You pull it too tight, it'll pop, it'll rip. Not tight enough, it will droop, okay? You gotta keep it kind of just right. Measure it out, all right? So, let's take the 5 box, the 6 box, and use that, fill it out all the way. Let's do a written reflection and journal today. Maybe a time when you felt in your own life something getting very tense, and a time when you were able to feel the release of tension. It can be the same time, right? This time when I was dreaming and my brother had a skateboard in the hallway. Don't use that one, okay? Let's do something original. Get an original thought down in the reflection. And if you have questions, comments, you can comment below, or you can send me an email at slagstube@gmail.com. That's slagstube@ 306live@gmail.com. All right. I'll be here tomorrow for you guys, tomorrow morning at 8:40 for another episode of 306 Live in the Triangle. And we'll be taking a look at the other book and discussing a little bit of this one too. Okay? All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.